Welcome back to round 4 of the DiRT3 Codemasters Rally Championship, and we are at Norway. So we are in the snow. The first two rallies are in Group B, which is the power and more power. So I have chosen the Peugeot, because nobody chooses the Peugeot. Everyone hates the Peugeot. I don't know why. Everyone goes for like the Quattro. The Quattro is very popular. And, well, I mean, everything but the Peugeot is popular. So I like the Peugeot anyway, so never mind. And to begin with, I did not have much time this time to do these rallies. I was quite delayed getting to them. So I only did one run on the two rallies. Well, I completed one run for both of them. So and they were decent times, so I thought I'll stick with it. I don't have time to do any more. So, I did have a few mistakes, and I did have a few restarts, but in the end, these rallies weren't too bad, as we have a nice slide and just clip those orange, I don't even know what they are, fence. They're like fences, but they're made out of paper, it seems, when you drive into them. Anyway, the Group B rally cars were a lot of fun to drive, because they slid beautifully, four-wheel drive, of course. And bouncing about. That was a few issues I did have with bumps and just bouncing about. I didn't bother doing setups this time because I did not have time to, mess around as we go for a hairpin and destroy the camera. Poor cameraman. Anyway, there was a few hairpins just clipping that fence there. Poor Norwegians having to fix that. And underneath a bridge. Bridges were my issues in the previous rallies, and I did have issues here. Even though you don't go over a bridge, well, you do, but you go under bridges, and I hit many a bridge going under. As we are almost about to head into the village, I think, which is right near the end of this rally. I did make a mistake right here on like my first run, which got me so annoyed because I had to restart, and I almost did it on my first try. And it was a pretty decent attempt without many mistakes, but. And over a jump. There were quite a few jumps here, actually. Small ones, but still quite a few jumps. And the snow is fun to drive in, and there's not many big banks on the exits of corners that you can drift into and die. I mean, there's small ones, but for a lot of the time it's completely flat. So running wide and cutting corners is all right, which is quite nice because I normally do drift a bit more and normally run it out wide. And often I hit a snowbank or whatever, but that was a fairly decent attempt. So I was fairly happy with that, considering I just did one run. As we head to the second, it is, as ever, it's the same one but backwards, with slightly different start and end points, I believe. Is it? Or is it not? It might not be. I can't even remember. No, it isn't. Slightly different. And there was a big bump on the inside of that corner, and I hit that many times, and it was a big bump, I can tell you. But we have more hairpins, and I clip the snowbank there actually, but didn't lose barely any time, so I carried on with it. And we have a nice jump which I fling into, which is very risky, to actually turn before the jump, because if I got over rotation, the landing would have been awful, and I would have had a big mistake. And once again, like the last one, this was my first one. This is my first completed attempt of this stage, and I kept it and didn't have time to do any more. And as you can see, just driving on the snowbanks, because at places it's really safe. Being quite tentative, I didn't want to slide into that wall. That was obviously a danger. I was quite tentative because I didn't want to retry. I wasn't not taking as many risks as I probably normally would. But in the end, I don't think the times were too bad, as we get like sort of a Scandinavian flick there. And that was also quite a key feature. There was many right-handers into lefts and vice versa, so the car was pretty solid, although again a bump just throwing me off and causing a bit of issues. They were taking quite a bit of the snow. That was quite a decent hairpin. Sometimes the hairpins were a bit of a pain, where I was just in the wrong gear because I'm using automatic, because I just don't have time to try and focus on manual as well. But it was going alright, and big slide there, and then this was where it went bad. But I mean, that was the worst bit. That was the worst bit of the whole stage, and I get very deep into the snow. I thought well, you're supposed to cut it a bit, but I don't know how much I was going to cut it, and I ended up cutting up a bit too much. And a big slide, which that will have lost us time, but we got into the next corner quite cleanly, so it was bad, but it didn't carry on. Like normally, if you make a mistake in rally, it keeps on going for a few corners and gets in your way as I go very wide again. It was quite shoddy this run, as I don't fall down in the ditch. That's very important, not to fall down there as I normally would, and across the line. Now normally, well, for the last three, we would have a trailblazer right now, and that's normally where I gain a bit of time, because my rallies are normally fairly meh. This time instead we're doing the Bobsleigh race, which if you've played DiRT3 you'd know about it, but in the career mode you have, I think it's in the career mode, yeah, one of the events is you race the bobsleigh down the bobsleigh run, because there's a track beside it, and if you've watched Top Gear you'll know this as well, and you have to pass through every gate, and I had a lot of fun doing this. I had a few attempts, and I really wanted to get a sub 57 run as we go over the small jump. This section was a lot of fun, the first section, because you're flat out here and you're just dicing and trying to keep it as straight as you can. This was an issue because you have to brake so early, and I clipped the ditch pretty well there. I was pretty fortunate and got the car turned in. As we go for a lot of right left at this section, which was an issue because sometimes the car would just refuse to turn in and it would just understeer. But on this run I don't think I got that once. I think every single time the car just turned in, and it was lovely. Getting a little bit wide there, and it put me a bit offline for this corner, but I slid for a bit too long there, but it was alright, and we go across the line beating the bobsleigh, I'm pretty sure. And I was so chuffed when I got the sub 57, because I just couldn't I couldn't beat it. But then I just did so much better. That one run where I didn't have an understeery moment, I got an alright time. So I believe that's actually it, because we've done all the rallies apart from Monaco, which is DLC. Now I think we may be doing that as a bonus round, and thankfully I do have the DLC, so hopefully I shall be doing that as well. So hopefully I'll see you next time at Monaco.